Greetings, BArcadians, and welcome to another edition of the BA Gaming News Show every Friday at 5 PM with your hosts, me, Tabs, and my good friend, and what was it you said last week, Rich? Gaming Padre or something. Rich! Say hello, Rich.
Hello.
It's a fairly slow games news week this week, so don't expect anything too monumental. But we've got a few stories to chat about, have a natter, do what we usually do. But before we get into things, Rich, shall we tell everybody what we've been playing mostly this week? And you start us off.
Obviously, the PlayStation 5, given the fact that, this time last week we just got them and were playing them. I've been playing Spider-Man. I'm playing through the original, the remastered version on the PS5, which I'm really enjoying, really starting to move forward on the combat now, becoming really enjoyable, where at the start of the game, sort of learning into the combat style, it does get a bit, grindy. You're struggling, you're dying a lot, but yeah, as you start to work on the dodges and the perfect parries and stuff like that, you start to get good at it. So I've been playing that, and I also completed, in terms of all the things that you can do in Astro's Playroom. I really enjoyed that actually. I hope there's some really clever mechanics in that game that I sort of hope developers take and run with, and especially the one I really like, and I think Tabs will probably second this, is the monkey climbing sort of sequences. It's just fantastic. So the people that thought of that, kudos to you, and somebody please make a game in that vein. Tabs, what about you?
I mean, just to outline for the viewers, Rich, essentially it's L2 and R2 act as your grip on each hand of this kind of monkey robot thing. And then you actually kind of use the motion sensing in the controller to like orient the body of this kind of monkey thing. So you're like making sure you grip in holds, and then you're like moving the controller to then orient each arm like sequentially as you climb a wall. So it's just such an ingenious use of the motion controls and the kind of the haptics and the triggers, and yeah, it would make a great game standalone.
Yeah, and there's some holds where if you grip them too tightly, so if you press the triggers too hard, it breaks the hold basically. So you have to like be very light on the trigger and then move to the next one, move through it. So really, really, really well done.
And I would just say on your Spider-Man kind of bit there, Rich, it's very much like God of War. I remember when you were getting to grips with that. Yeah. With these sorts of games, there's such a plethora of move sets that you need to, it's like learning a vocabulary. You've got all these different words you can use and put together in a sentence. But initially, you're just speaking gibberish with it. But over time, you learn to kind of put them together in such an artful way that it starts to really unravel it and look good. So yeah, I definitely picking Spider-Man back up, I've had the same thing. So yeah, same for me really. Spider-Man Miles Morales, I'm actually playing the newer version. I've already played the PS4 version that Rich is currently playing. Been playing Astro. Rich is much better at it than me because he's more methodical, better discovering things. I just seem to blitz through it and miss everything, but I've enjoyed it immensely, and such a nicely structured game. There's a lot of magic there actually. It's just a shame it's quite a short experience, and perhaps it hasn't had as much development time as I wish it had, because they had to get it packaged in as a game on the PS5. I think the only thing I would say from a next-gen perspective, Rich, and I don't want to sound ungrateful at all, because I really am grateful to have a PS5 to be playing it, I think the next-gen kind of zeal is starting to wear off me a little bit, insofar as Spider-Man Miles Morales is very similar to the PS4 version. Great game, no doubt, but it is very similar. And now Astrobot's kind of been and gone. I probably will return to it, but I've had a lot of the fun that's there to be had. I kind of feel like, where do I turn to now? So a week later, and I almost feel like, I could be playing games on my PS4, and I wouldn't really have seen the difference apart from DualSense.
Yeah, now while I do agree with you, Tabs, the big thing is the big blockbuster game that sort of came out. Don't get me wrong, Miles Morales is obviously a good game, but it is sort of based around the PS4 version of that game largely. The big game that we've missed out on, and I'm hoping to get it for Christmas, is Demon's Souls. That's the real big, this is really good sort of game. I think that's the one that we're missing in that respect. And a lot of the others sort of fillers in some respects, cross-generation games where you're not getting that beautiful, like impact that is next gen. So yeah, I sort of agree with you in some respects, but I just think, we're just early, aren't we? At the end of the day, we're just early.
Yeah, I don't regret it by any means.
No.
I suppose it's just more of a message to BArcadians out there. If you've not been lucky enough to grab one, to pre-order one because of the paucity of consoles everywhere, then don't worry so much. You're not missing out on anything kind of revolutionary. That there's plenty of time to wait patiently and jump on the next gen kind of train, if you like, in the new year, as we it's a pretty blockbuster year for next generation games, at least as far as schedules seem to suggest. But Rich, turn that into a whole topic.
I was just going to say, in an interesting development, the additional frame rates that we're getting from next gen is actually making quality of life playing games better for me. I'm getting at the moment no motion sickness at all in any games that I'm playing, and I'm fairly convinced it's because we've got that increased frame rate. But I don't know, what time will tell. It would be interesting to play a first-person shooter at a high frame rate and see whether that did make any difference. But yeah.
It's an interesting little segue, that, Rich, because it's not in the news, but there's rumours of the PSVR 2 being in production, and apparently I think they're going to use things like the haptic feedback in that to help with motion sickness, because that is a big issue for VR that's still not been solved, and obviously needs to be solved if it's going to be if it's going to break into the mainstream as such. So yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But no, good to hear, my friend. But should we actually get on to the news? Because we're just having a chat here, aren't we? So, first article for, this week is Cyberpunk. So this is essentially all about kind of a few tidbits of Cyberpunk 2077 information we've had this week. Starting off with Eurogamer. So they say we're still several weeks out from Cyberpunk 2077's new release date of the 10th of December, but it seems someone has already managed to get their hands on a copy, as 20 minutes of gameplay is spilled onto the internet. While I can't say the stream itself is of brilliant quality, the two people talking over the footage seem like they've been smoking something, to be honest, but it does give you an idea of what the start of Cyberpunk 2077 will look like. The streamers rush through the character creation features, help a mechanic fix his car, talk to a sheriff, and then head out into the wasteland surrounding Night City to fix a radio tower. Riveting stuff. So very quickly, Rich, we've got a second part to this first topic, but what are your reactions to that?
Oh yeah, cool. I mean, it's interesting to hear there's areas outside of Night City, because that's all we've heard about from this, and that's all we've seen. So it is interesting to hear that there is other things outside of the city, and it isn't just going to be focused solely on the city. So really cool. Again, a little disappointing. We heard about this in The Last of Us Part 2, albeit much more much grander with spoilers, etc. I just don't. Why are these things happening with the? We're a week away or just over a week away from release, and we've got in essence some spoilers coming out already. I don't see how these things happen in this day and age.
Yeah, to quote our Torn parody video, Rich, check it out, BArcadians, if you haven't already. All the spoilers make us cry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it's exciting. At least I've not seen any major spoilers yet. I don't know if they are out there on the internet, but it's a shame, isn't it? Because you want to share in that kind of element of discovery and exploration of this new hyped up game together when it launches. You don't want that getting out there early and taking the kind of the edge off of that excitement and discovery when you experience it yourself. But second part of today's topic, Cyberpunk related. So CD Projekt Red, this was in NME by the way. CD Projekt Red QA lead Lucas Babiel, I think it will be pronounced, has tweeted that he racked up 175 hours in his current playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077. The tester posted a screenshot of his character's origin story, followed by a picture of his current time played in the game, which exceeded 175 hours. Responding to a question on Twitter asking whether it was a completionist playthrough, Babiel said that it wasn't, and that he was simply taking his time to explore everything. He explained that it was one of my ongoing slow-paced playthroughs on the hardest difficulty, where I play more stealthy than usual, loot everything, use every feature the game has to offer. So, Rich, 175 hours, I mean, that's colossal. I think we put about that, though, into Breath of the Wild, maybe a little bit more, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. but different, very different. That's a very different experience to this, though, isn't it? Breath of the Wild was sort of fun, light-hearted for the most part. This is much more gritty, isn't it? You know,
much more of a simulation, a reality.
Absolutely. And you spoke, I think, before we started filming that, you know, it is comparable, they say, to The Witcher 3, which is, what did you say, like 50 to 190 hours, did you say?
Yeah, I think approximately 50 to 190 hours, obviously depending on if you mainline the game or if you do some of the, you know, you get your teeth into the side activities.
Yeah.
So CD Projekt Red have actually said themselves that it falls shy of The Witcher 3's total playtime, but seemingly from this account, not by a great deal.
Yeah.
So, you know, this guy's obviously playing on hard difficulty, super stealthy, really taking his time. But it's encouraging, I think. It means that I think you've got options again to play it in different ways. And Cyberpunk for me is that sort of game where I want to lose myself in it for potentially a matter of weeks. You know, I want to be just living, breathing, thinking about Cyberpunk. You know, that kind of total escapism mode that video games deliver so brilliantly. So, yeah, this for me is really encouraging. Obviously, we hope the gameplay is actually fun. As a QA lead, it's his job to play these games. But hopefully he's been doing it because, you know, he's also absolutely loving the experience. So, yeah. Great stuff on Cyberpunk. BArcadians, let us know your thoughts. Are you excited? Have you pre-ordered it? Where are you at on Cyberpunk 2077? But Rich, move us on. Story number 2.
Absolutely. So last week you heard us talk about the Game Awards, and it is very much award season. So the next part is called The Last of Us 2 Golden Joystick. So the Golden Joystick Awards are coming up, and this is what the Metro had to say about them. Naughty Dog's PS4 exclusive has picked up 6 awards at this year's Golden Joysticks, with Fall Guys and Minecraft winning 2 each as well. The Game Awards is now well established as the closest thing to the video games Oscars, but there is an alternative in the much older Golden Joystick Awards, which are voted on by the fans and not the critics. The 38th Golden Joystick Award ceremony was last night and announced the winners in 20 categories after more than 3 million public votes were cast. The biggest winners on the night was Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2, which picked up Game of the Year award, along with Best Storytelling, Best Visual Design, Best Audio, and PlayStation Game of the Year. Developer Naughty Dog also won Studio of the Year. And before we started filming, I just mentioned the tabs that Death Stranding also won PC Game of the Year. So we're very happy about that. So yeah, I mean, I would say not unexpected. I mean, we spoke last week about the fact that The Last of Us Part 2 is an incredible piece of, I mean, art at this point, not just a video game, and absolutely it should get all of the plaudits that people are putting on it, and especially the gamers and the critics alike. I guess I'm in some respects, given the backlash to this game by the gamers out there about their, you know, the choice of narrative that's in this game, I'm surprised it got so many fan votes, but I'm really glad that it did because, like I say, I think it's a masterpiece. What do you make of this?
I was about to say the same thing, mate. Given the backlash we saw, I'm surprised there wasn't some sort of like collective troll movement to try and, you know, basically downvote this and make sure other games got more votes. So it's brilliant that it's actually overcome that. I don't know if there's any sort of kind of filter or triage for getting a vote in via the Golden Joystick. I didn't vote myself, but no, fantastic. I think it's a game well worthy of recognition. Considering, you know, all of the brave steps they took. We've banged on about it at large on previous shows. But yeah, you know, all's to say that it is great news, and we're chuffed to bits that Death Stranding got a little bit of a time in the spotlight as well on that. So
absolutely, and it's almost a shame that sort of game, given how unique and I guess in some respects like groundbreaking or sort of like, I don't know, it was a very unique game when it came out, and it seems to have come and gone and just been forgotten. So I urge you, if you haven't played Death Stranding, and you can pick it up cheap for the PS4 or the PC, go and play it because it's just a brilliant experience. It's something very different. You have to be prepared for it, but definitely go and play it if you haven't played it.
It is interesting, isn't it, that some, you know, 2 games that caused such a controversy, that we saw hugely vitriolic responses from the fan bases. You know, they've essentially won awards that have been voted for by fans.
Yeah.
So I know sometimes maybe what we see, maybe what we see or think we see and feel, in terms of the culture, the community behind these things, is actually just accentuated and blown out of proportion by social media, internet platforms, and really underneath, it's not quite so polarizing as we think. Who knows on that one? Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's every possibility that because of social media, we're actually only seeing a very minority,
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, views, and not many people were necessarily agreeing with this, but because of the fact it gets traction on social media, people start commenting, and then that's all you see. Then you don't see all of the people that just get on with it, enjoy the game, process the information, much like me and you did, Sam. So it's interesting.
This is it. Yeah, it is very interesting. But topic number 3, so a bit of a strange one, I think, as Rich pointed out before we started filming. EA gets Zlatan'd. So what are we on about? Essentially a dispute that's arisen with FIFA 21, and I'll just read you through it. This is courtesy of Eurogamer. So EA has claimed the ongoing row over football women's rights is an attempt to draw FIFA 21 into a dispute between footballers. So this was contested and raised, if you like, by Zlatan Ibrahimovic, their agents and the players' union, and it has nothing to do with the game itself. So this week, football superstar Zlatan claimed EA was using his name and face in FIFA 21 without his permission and declared it was time to investigate. In a tweet, the 39-year-old AC Milan striker wondered who had given EA permission to use his name and face for their $1 billion a year mega franchise. And he pointed the finger at Fédération Internationale des Associations de Football Professionnels. Sorry, I've just absolutely ruined that name, I'm sure. Fifth Pro, it's abbreviated to. The global representative of professional football players who claim to be unaware of EA and indeed PES developer Konami, Pro Evolution Soccer, license the use of thousands of footballers via Fifth Pro each year. So basically, I mean, I'll cut this story down a little bit for us, Rich, but from what I'm gathering, Zlatan's caused a bit of a stir. I think a few of his fellow footballing professionals have then jumped on that a little bit. They've got their agents involved. They're now looking at their legal rights behind all of this, and if FIFA have done anything wrong. Although it does state in this story that EA signed a partner deal with both Milan clubs back in July, and of course, they do work with this Fifth Pro organisation to secure the rights of player likenesses for the FIFA games. This deal they did sign with AC Milan, though, gave them the rights to the kit, players and stadium. So it doesn't really sound like they've done much wrong, but I don't know, maybe this is something that's been annoying Zlatan for years now, and he feels that they should secure individual rights, therefore footballers should get individual, payments, perhaps royalties from the game, and this was just an opportunity to try and cause outrage and revolutionise the system. But yeah, suffice to say, Rich, it was a slow news week, which is why this one appeared. But what are your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, the first thing I took away was it's $1 billion a year mega franchise. Are you joking me? No wonder they just rehash the same game every year. It's like it's basically a license to print money by that sketch. Anyway, I don't know. This is a bit of an odd story. I mean, I think this is more to do with Zlatan maybe wanting to use his rights in a way that he sees fit, or his image rights, I guess I should say, rather than it being, the club owned the rights to what I look, my face or whatever. Yeah, a bit of a weird one. It looks and sounds to me like a bit of a storm in a teacup, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it says at the end here, he's insisting he told EA of this many times that they do not have players' individual rights. So it's obviously been a bee in his bonnet for many years now. Maybe coming to the end of his career at 39. Well, who knows with him? He's a beast. But he's looking for some other revenue streams to help keep him comfortable in retirement. But yeah, it does seem strange. We'll have to see what comes up. But to be fair, Rich, we're not the biggest fans of EA, are we? So
there is that.
I wouldn't mind seeing Zlatan and co win this one, and get a stick a finger up to EA, in their faces, but we'll have to see. But Rich, I'm sure we're well over our 20-minute target for the BA News show, so do you want to rattle off some of the everything else?
Absolutely. So first up, Sony put a tweet out, the last few days, saying they claimed the PS5 to be the most successful console launch ever. They stated nothing about what they were basing that on, whether it was on numbers of consoles sold or total revenue. I mean, if it's total revenue, given the fact that it's £100 roughly more than the previous console, they could sell less and still be the most profitable launch ever. So who knows what stretch of they're basing that on, but that's what they've tweeted.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen, Rich, but apparently there's like a collective outfit of scalpers out there who actually managed to buy something like 3,500 consoles, and they're obviously trying to rip people off, and that's a real shame to see. I hope Sony do something to try and investigate that and
absolutely,
blow that up if you like. But yeah, what else we got next? Marvel's Avengers still hasn't recouped its development costs, and did you say, Rich, the deficit is something like 60-70 million?
Oh, I didn't see the deficit. I just couldn't believe that was still that's ridiculous. I mean, it's performed badly because it's got really bad reviews in a lot of the things I've seen, but still, that's ridiculous.
I'm glad, it's a game we've banged on relentlessly about what a forced kind of concept it was. So I'm glad to see they've got that feedback. I will be interested to see if they give up on the franchise or if they try and resurrect it in some way. We'll have to see over the years to come. Next up.
Monster Hunter movie is incoming in due course. Apparently, it's going to get a crossover in Monster Hunter World. And I think they've reskinned one of the NPCs to look like Mila Jovovich?
I've never known, mate. Jovovich. Yeah.
Something like that. So, that's really interesting. So look out for that if you're a Monster Hunter World player.
Next up, we've got God of War Ragnarok is the most wanted game at the Golden Joystick Awards. I would say unsurprisingly, Rich.
Yeah, massively. I mean, I can't wait for it myself. Surprising, I mean, it's likely it went toe-to-toe with Horizon Forbidden West, so it's interesting.
Okay. What we got next?
Next up, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity sold 3 million copies worldwide in just 4 days, which I thought was astonishing.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild was super popular, but still, surprising that, a spin-off kind of the franchise has done so well, so congratulations.
Especially given the fact that it had mixed reviews. I've heard people say it's amazing, I've heard people say, it's all right.
Yeah, I suppose if you're not jumping on the next-gen bandwagon, it was probably a nice little, nice game to get your teeth into. And finally, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has a Lord of the Rings Easter egg.
Go check it out.
I thought was cool. Apparently I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, so I don't think it'll encourage me to buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla just for that. I will just Google it.
I know one of our BArcadians is currently playing it, so they're on the PS5. They managed to get a PS5.
Is it? Yeah, it's such is life.
Yes, I think he's really enjoying it. I have asked him whether he thinks it's worth playing. I said, for me, the series sort of peaked at Black Flag, but if he gives it a warm recommendation, maybe I should check it out. So we'll wait to hear what he says.
I think for me, Cyberpunk's around the corner. I've only got so much time and kind of energy to put into these massive epic experiences. Valhalla for me, and just the Assassin's Creed game in recent years, I've been waiting for an opportunity to jump back in, and I've just seen a couple of accounts of this game that there's some filler in there, and it can be at times a bit of a fatiguing experience. So yeah, I'm still, I don't think I will, but such is life. Let us know. We'd love to hear. Sell us on it. Give us your best argument, a case for.
Absolutely.
But that's it, BArcadians. Probably a record-breaking show in terms of the length, as we're terrible at it. But I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Smash that like button if you did. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and share the videos on your social media platform if you think you know anybody who'll like them as well. I think, Rich, that's all that's left to say. We'll see you guys next week. Have a fantastic week gaming, and that's probably another one for the archives.